Hello and welcome to part two of the job search chapter. We're going to talk about a lot of things today: dossiers and career portfolios, letters of application, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples too. Now, this might have to be broken up into two different videos because this only has 15 minutes max, but I will definitely show you how to do those today. A dossier provides prospective employers with information about you and your work that others have created. Letters of recommendation, letters that awarded you a scholarship, gave you an academic honor, or acknowledged your community service, letters that praised your work on the job, and your academic transcripts. Now, these are things that you put together that other people have said about you, commendations that you have received. You should keep a good record of those anyway. That's a great rule of thumb because you never know when somebody's going to want to know how others see you, how others perceive your work ethic, how well you study, how well you work with other people. That's important. So always keep a record, um, whether it's for a job or not, always keep a record of the positive things people say about you. A career portfolio, which can either be hard copy or online, contains documents you have created yourself. So these are things you have created yourself. We're doing something like this for the job search project where you're just creating a resume, a cover letter, and an acceptance or refusal letter. A mission statement or personal profile, an additional copy or e-version of your resume. Copies or scans of documents that prove your academic and or work history, diplomas, certificates, licenses, relevant examples of your written work you did for college courses, appropriate examples of written work you completed on the job, clippings or scans of newspaper or newsletter stories about your academic, community, and or on-the-job successes, pertinent examples of electronic or graphic work you have done, and a list of your references. So this is where you pretty much put your career all into one tidy folder or box, maybe for some of you. Everything that you've done, great things that you have done, work that you have done, you want to put this into the career portfolio because it is especially relevant for your career. Letters of application. Letters of application or cover letters are things that you send to a prospective employer to supplement your resume. Now, this is to supplement your resume. We're going to talk about how to make your resume and your cover letter different. You do not want your cover letter to say the exact same thing as your resume. They have your resume. They already know what that says. You want it to be personable, professional, and persuasive. This is supposed to sell you. Much like a sales letter, this needs to let the reader, the employer know that what you have done in your resume outlines your specific job skills. What you have in your cover letter lets them know a little bit more about exactly who you are. It differs from a resume in the following ways. A resume is a compilation of facts, whereas a letter of application is much more personal. A resume includes all details, whereas a letter of application applies only the most relevant details. A resume includes personal data, specific course data, and may include references, whereas a letter of application does not. As you prepare your letter of application, use the following general guidelines. Follow the standard conventions of letter writing. This has been uniform and universal throughout everything that we've done in this course so far, especially with formal letter writing. Make sure your letter looks attractive. Send your letter to a specific person. And we'll talk about how to do that if you don't know who the specific person is. Don't forget the you attitude. Remember, seeing yourself as the reader sees you. And don't be tempted to send out your first draft. This is very, very important. And I'm going to speak from personal experience here. When I graduated grad school with my English degree in literature, and I created a cover letter, and I just sent it out. I thought, I'm a good writer, I have experience, they're just going to see this cover letter and be floored. Why wouldn't they be? I got absolutely no responses, not even a letter saying that they had received my application. And I know that I mailed it to the right place. That's just how bad it was. It was terrible. The reason why it was terrible is because, A, it was my first draft. I hadn't sent it to anyone to look at. I just assumed that I knew what I was talking about. I was very arrogant, and that's a problem. B, it just pretty much mirrored my resume. It said every single thing that my resume said. It didn't tell the employer, anything about who I was as a teacher, who I was as a learner, my work ethic, any of that. And C, it was very short. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Miss Lewis, what if I haven't done a lot? Trust me, you have done much more than you give yourself credit for. Now, a good rule of thumb for your letter of application or your cover letter is to send it to someone that is within the same field. I sent my poor little sad cover letter to my mentor in grad school. She has been in the field for more years than I have. She has written more letters of recommendation. She has been on hiring committees, so she knows exactly what they were looking for the letter of application and the cover letter. So she gave me tips to beef up my cover letter, and she ended up helping me extend it to a page and a half. And when I was hired for this specific position at Cape Fear Community College, the chair of the department told me that my cover letter is what got me in. That's what got me the interview. So this is how important this is. Remember that whenever you're applying for jobs, it's not like it used to be where your experience and your smile and your personality just get you through. This is a time when there are hundreds of applicants for one position. You have to make yourself stand out, and you absolutely must put your best foot forward if you really want the position. Okay, I'll keep going. Parts of the letter of application. Opening paragraph. This is your introduction and should indicate why you are writing, where you found out about the vacancy or company, and what is your most important qualification for the job. The body. This provides evidence from your resume to prove you are qualified. Keep sentences short and readable. Don't begin each sentence with I. Concentrate on seeing yourself as your employer sees you. Highlight your qualifications by citing specific accomplishments and mention that you are enclosing your resume. And the closing. This provides a conclusion and should emphasize once again your qualifications. Ask for an interview or phone call and indicate when you are available for an interview. Interviewing. An interview, a formal meeting with a prospective employer to apply for a job, is something you should prepare for carefully. Do your homework about the company. Before every interview, I research the company. Now, just to use myself again as an example, I didn't just research Cape Fear Community College, I researched the mission and purpose of community colleges, specifically in North Carolina, how community colleges have impacted the education system in our country, the trends that are evident in community colleges, things that they are doing great, things that they could improve on. It is very important to research, and it is very important to create a list of questions that you know you do not like to answer, but that you also know will be in the interview. Why should we hire you? What makes you qualified for this job? Why should we choose you over hundreds of other applicants? What is your biggest weakness? What has been your biggest challenge on the job? All those questions they ask purposefully to see how you can work under pressure, to see how you can compose yourself and answer questions logically and clearly, and so that they are answered with respect to the job that you are applying for. Now, with questions like, what are your biggest challenges and what are your biggest weaknesses? You want to list something that you can draw back to a positive point. So, for instance, my biggest weakness is that I spend a lot of time grading. I spend a lot of time grading because it's an important part of the learning process. Providing adequate feedback, assessing a student's work is very important. I'm in the process of learning ways to streamline that for myself and for my students. But generally, that is my biggest weakness. That answer not only highlighted something that is an actual weakness, but it related something positive back. Sure, I take a long time grading. However, I do feel like grading and thorough analysis helps a student learn more than just a grade with no feedback at all. Do your homework about the company, very important. Review the job description carefully. Prepare a 1 or 2 minute summary of your chief qualifications. Bring your portfolio, including 3 to 4 extra copies of your resume. I bring like 15 copies of my resume because if you have a group interview where there's about 6 people on a panel, you want to make sure you have enough resumes so each person can have a copy. Practice your interview skills with a friend or job counselor. Absolutely. Practice your interview skills with a friend, a job counselor, a group of friends, people that you can trust to be honest with you. And practice in front of the mirror so you can get used to the uncomfortableness because interviews are uncomfortable. They are. They just are. Brush up on business etiquette. Bring your photo ID and social security card and bring your enthusiasm with you. You're going to be nervous. That's expected. However, try to channel that energy to get this job. Questions to expect. The following questions are typical of those you can expect from interviews. Interviews may not ask you about your age, marital status, ethnic background, race, physical disability, religion, or sexual orientation. Why do you want to work for us? What qualifications do you have for the job? What could you offer us that other candidates do not have? Why did you attend this school? Why did you major in X? Why did you get a grade of C in a course? What extracurricular activities did you participate in high school or college? Did you learn as much as you wanted from your coursework? What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest shortcoming? How do you handle conflict with coworker, boss, customer? Why did you leave your last job? Why would you leave your current job? Now, these are questions that are tough to answer, but these are a pretty good list of questions that you can expect on an interview and that you should practice answering so that you feel comfortable with answering those questions. 10 interview do's and don'ts. Keep in mind these interview do's and don'ts. Be on time. Be early. Not an hour early. Maybe not even 30 minutes early, but I'd say 15 to 20 minutes early. Go to the interview alone. Leave your parents, your spouse, your significant other, your children, leave them at home. You want to be focused on that interview. Dress appropriately and be well groomed. Look your best. Be careful about tattoos. A lot of people have tattoos, and a lot of companies are acceptable of tattoos, but until you know that for sure, cover them up. Greet the interviewer with a friendly and firm handshake. Look them in the eye. Stand up straight, shake their hand with confidence. Confidence speaks volumes. Don't sit down before the interviewer does. Wait till they invite you to sit down, which they will. Speak slowly and distinctly. You'll be nervous. So the automatic response to nervousness is to speak fast and get it over with. But you want to also be clear and make your point clear. So you don't want to speak too fast. You want to make sure they understand exactly what you're saying. Refrain from chewing gum, clicking your pen, fidgeting, twirling your hair, or tapping your foot. These sort of unconscious things that we do that we don't know that we do. We swivel around in our chairs, we rub our hands, we pick at our fingernails. Try to be mindful of those and don't do any of those during the interview. Maintain eye contact with the interviewer, absolutely. Thank the interviewer when the interview is over, and don't forget to send a follow-up thank you letter. This is very important. There are times when a follow-up thank you letter can take you even further. If you have 5 applicants and they're doing well, but they all have the same qualifications, they all did well in their interviews, they all had the same GPAs, they all had the same experience, and they are all equally as fitting for the job. But then, that one applicant, when they get home, sends you a thank you up email or mails you a thank you letter, you're more likely to choose that person. Accepting or declining an offer. When accepting a job, send the employer a letter within a week of the offer. Start by telling the employer you are accepting the job. Indicate when you can start. Mention any pleasant associations from the interview. Express your plans to fulfill any requirements for the job. And reiterate that you look forward to starting the job. When declining a job, don't start with the bad news. Ease into it, just like the bad news letters. Then tactfully tell the employer why you are not taking the job and end on a friendly note. We only have a few of these left, but I will continue this and show you those examples on the next video. See you soon.